Hey, so this is a video for Bakuhatsu's composition program. We're going to talk about how to quantize notes with swing, which is something I hadn't talked about earlier when we talked about quantizing notes. So this is just to kind of help out people who might be doing songs that are swung. We do have a lot of songs that are swung. So I'll get into that. First, I want to just talk a little bit about like swing, and we'll I want to kind of show you the tool to do this, but I also kind of want to show you how that's working or what's happening with the notes, and and hopefully this will be useful for you as both a composer and a player. So first of all, I think like to talk about swing, I want to just kind of we use the term upbeat a lot in our team, and it can have kind of different meanings depending on the kind of musical context, the meter, the tradition you're working with. I just want to kind of briefly walk through that concept. So first of all, let's just say like what's the simplest kind of rhythm we have is a pulse, right? Just it's a repeating sound or a note, right? So just do, 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 right? We just have a pulse going, right? And so it's just it's symmetrical in that it's just the same space between every note, right? So one thing we can do to a rhythm, to kind of add complexity, like the first thing we can do is just add another kind of note in there, another thing in this sequence. So if we have a beat that's don, 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 we could play dons, 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 right? And so for the purposes of this video, I'm going to consider that the upbeat, right? Now, if we're doing like different types of music, and I think the reason why we call that the upbeat a lot is because like think about like our G, the backbeat for a lot of our songs. We have like stray and swung and matsuri are like our basic ones, like horse beat, right? Horse beats, you could swing it, but it's generally straight. I think the reason why upbeat's a useful term for us is because there tends to be not too much complexity over a longer amount of time. It's tet 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 or tet 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 tet. The only difference between swung and straight is the placement of the upbeat, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today. But I just in terms of the term generally, if you have a longer phrase, dons tets dons tets dons tets don, it might make more sense for you to are the one and the two, or on a kick that the kick on the one, a snare on the three, ride, or like a cymbal on the eighth notes. So don't it's that one and the three downbeats and the 2 and 4 upbeats, or if you have much more going on, it might make more sense, like what you're considering, like on and off beat, accented, unaccented, depending on what you're doing, right? So just there is some, if there's I'm going to use upbeat because we're gonna explore the most kind of reduced form of we're alternating one thing in a pattern between an onbeat and offbeat, okay? But that's just kind of the terms I'm going to be using. Another thing, it's like a lot of times when we're just playing like a straight beat, sometimes maybe it's not as clear, like, is that just the pulse? Or, because they're the same volume, or if it's on the ones in a 4-beat phrase, it's every other. So I mean, there's different ways I think you might think about it, right? But and a lot of that's like provided contextually though by what's happening on top of the beat, right? So for an utage, don don, utage is a swung song, right? Don 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 don. Like it helps us maybe. Well, that's a swung song, so I guess it already has some structure to the backline. But for like a inu or something, dons 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 dons. That might be what we start like thinking the meter to, so that the players are counting out the same, right? So that's just to say that there's different ways that you can kind of think about these terms, but I want to explore now just like if swing at its most kind of fundamental level is taking, we have our pulse, our accent beat, do, do, and we're going to add an offbeat here or upbeat, dons, 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 dons. And when the space between them is the same. I mean, that's often what we call straight, right? There's not, they're the same distance apart from each other, right? But so one thing we can do to kind of add some flavor to our music is that we can delay when this next beat comes in. So instead of don, tss, don, tss, don, tss, don, tss, don, tss, don, tss, don, kind of make a swing pattern. But so here's the thing that I want to kind of get across with that. I think a lot of times in our practices, we say like, let's default to like a triplet swung, right? That means that the space between the downbeat and the upbeat, right? Because we could space that out a lot of different ways, right? If we imagine it like as a circle, maybe, right? Like, you know, where that upbeat is could be you know, a variety of places relative to the downbeat. A triplet swung is one in which the space between the downbeat and the upbeat is the same distance, length of time as the first and the third note in a evenly spaced straight triplet. You know, becomes if I just drop out beat 2, right? But here's the trick about it. Like, you know, I realize that's probably not the best way to teach swing, because what we do is we naturally latch onto like to rhythm. I think it's something that we kind of share like fundamentally, like language, or, you know, our ability to have, like to convey through language. So if you are if someone is playing a swung pattern that's not actually you know, triplet swung, you can still fit 3 beats in. You know, because you're in your mind, you're already making that adjustment. So so I want to demonstrate that kind of in this program, or I want to just I'm going to show kind of how we can construct swing. I'm going to show it like a triplet swung and a quintuplet, like 5 beat swing pattern, and compare how they're different. They're not the same. And how they might sound different, and then boom, we're going to get you. I just want to give you a tool to use this for your composition, particularly, you know, quantizing, because you know, it's really useful when we're inputting with our keyboards or our MIDI controllers to be able to quantize. And I realized that without knowing how to do that in swung song, that is creating some problems for our composers. So, all right. So first of all, I want to draw attention to this. So this is let's see, what am I trying to say? This is like a 3 beats make every like 4 marks in this pattern. Can I get it to play? 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay, and to make our swung pattern out of this, we're just going to delete note 2 in each of the triplets to get. So that's what I mean by the triplet swung, right? And similarly, like another way that we can kind of conceptualize this swing is like, well, let's say it wasn't 3 beats. What if we had 5 beats in that measure? Well, we can do that too. So let's go ahead. Let's get rid of 2, 3, and 5. Here's 2, 3, and 5. 2, 3, and 5. 2, 3, and 5. And let's listen to how this sounds. So that also sounds natural. That sounds like swung, right? Let's listen to our triplet swung again. Yeah, so they're both like swung, and the distance between the downbeat and the upbeat is something that, like, as you're listening to the backbeat, as you're like playing with other people, you kind of naturally pick up on. So that when you're playing Utage, you're playing don 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 da don da con da con da con da don don don, or don 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 da don don da don da con ka don da con ka don don don, right? You know, so both of them kind of feel natural. Maybe one feels more natural to you than the other. Maybe we play one more than the other. But the problem is if we don't agree on it. So I'm going to switch to this. So this is the highlighted ones are just 4 beats, or I guess 2 beats to, my meter matters here, but into, I guess, I fit it all into like a beat technically in my meter, but so 2 beats to, or 2 notes to a beat here in this case, versus 3 or 5. I guess I shouldn't have said 4 then. Yeah. So I want to show us like how can we get from this to one of these patterns using some software or like using our quantizing tool. And so yes. So I'll just show you that first. When I went over quantizing notes before, I kind of told you that this tool lets you say what's the nearest like note value that you wanted things to be at, right? If you say 8th note, right, it's going to jump to the closest here where these notes are, right? So I'll just like let's say if we select this, right, and we say go to the nearest 8th note. Well, sorry. Oh, I have swing on this. That's what I'm going to show you. Okay, so without messing with this swing at all, right? Yeah, these are just evenly spaced 8th notes, right? So like some of you might have figured out that you can also tell it to quantize for swing, right? And so you can say like, give me 100 swing. The thing is, I wasn't quite sure what 100 like swing meant, so I'm going to show you kind of ways that you can adjust the amount of swing in your songs. So I overlaid here the swings from before, our triplet swing and our quintuplet swing, and you can see that if you're just using this swing meter adjustment in your quantizing, 100 will actually get you right to a quintuplet swing. So for instance, I'll unmute this, and that's the lower one here. Yeah, right. But how do we get to triplet swing? Because you notice like the triplet, which is the higher of the 2 grayed out muted ones, it's even more delayed, right? And so even using this this kind of tool here, we can't get to triplet swing. So what are some things we can do? I mean, we could tell them, we might have been trying out to use the kind of these tools provided up here, right? Like that's something that somebody might have been doing. I kind of played around, and I think the way that we can do this kind of easily is doing kind of these 8th note swing, A, B, C, D, E, F. I'm not sure. I mean, there's probably some documentation. I didn't find it pretty easily, but here's what I found. So if you use 8th note swing A, it's going to let you. It's going to be it's an 8th note swing, right? So it's going to be altering the position of the things that are on 8th notes, but not quarter notes, right? So in our case, what we're considering like our upbeats will be modified, not our downbeats, right? But we have to give it some value, right, of swing. And so the 8th note swing A is, I think, just what I was showing you before. It lets you go between no swing and the quintuplet swing. If you go to the 8th note swing B, so this is kind of weird. It goes between no swing and well, hold on. And not, what the heck? What happened to my, maybe I deselected them. Sorry, let me grab them and say, all right, quantize to 8th note swing B pattern. And it still doesn't quite get us the triplet swung, right? It's like close, but not quite. And then so it's like, okay, let's try 8th note swing C. And now we're like beyond, right? So I think, well, when I did this before, I thought it was 50. But it looks like it might be like 70. So yeah, I mean, but I mean, I guess most basically what these, oops, and if you choose 1/16 swing, it's not going to do it for you, right? Then it's trying to alter the position of things that are even some, like in what we have no, in the region where we have no beats right now. So we've got to be on the 1/8 swing. And so just basically each one of these A, B, C, D, F just gives you kind of increasingly more swing. So from kind of our quintuplet max on A, B maxes out at, oh my god, I keep choosing 16ths, sorry. B maxes out at like close to triplet swung. So I mean, I think that's probably like a pretty good approximation. But to get there, actually you'll need to do this. If you choose 8th, not 16th, I did that a 3rd time, sorry. And if, you know, like maybe it's around 70, right? But like, you know, the point of it is like, does that really matter? Like that it's like exactly a triplet swung? Probably not, right? But it is going to matter that you kind of are using the same swing between your backbeat, right? And your kind of your melody lines and stuff. So before we do it in practice, like I laid down some, like just like before I started, because the Zoom is too much kind of delay sometimes for the, I just put I think I did the backbeat and the melody line, and I'll show us using this tool for them. But before we do that, let's take a quick diversion. And how do can I unmute these all fast? I might just have to click them all. I want to just talk about what happens when we don't swing together. And let's go ahead and turn these off. Oh, you know, I could have, you know what I was going to do? I was just going to play the other two at the same time. But this lets us see the visual. So this is, you know, if let's say we have two backbeat players, one of them's playing, you know, a different interpretation of swing, this in case the quintuplet swung versus the triplet swung, right? The way you experience that is like if they have very different sounds, then like maybe you can kind of get away with it. But you know, that you are going to experience like Flam or like, oops, I have this one on too. So let's go ahead and give them, let's see, a same or similar voice. This is not great. Let's give them both kind of a tom voice for now. But yeah, it's a lot more apparent now, right? That these are not swinging the same, and you get that kind of that flam, that's that flap, flap, flap on the bass there, right? And so that's maybe one thing I think as a performer, like that I think it's something we were talking about and doing in our practices before everything kind of got shut down and stuff. But when ensemble is not kind of sharing that same swing, then you kind of you know, you can hear it, so you can maybe listen for that. And I think what I also just want to get across with swing is like, you know, fundamentally at the end of the day, if you're laying down the triplet swung or the quintuplet swung or somewhere in between, right? That's when you're playing together, what matters is that like that you are interpreting like that swing together, right? So you know, I think specifically for the stuff like kind of we do, like, you know, I think when there's like a lot of different layers of rhythmic patterns overlapping with each other. Yeah, I mean there are some musicians who need to be like probably just, you know, bust out a triplet swung exactly, right? But a lot of what we're doing, we're listening to each other, right? We're kind of interacting and grooving in the same space. So just being able to find that swing and play together is kind of, I think, the most important thing about swing. Okay, so maybe some thing to think about as you're playing, and now as you're composing too, maybe this is kind of apparent or something that we've kind of had to grapple with now that we have to input notes in MIDI with swing. Okay, so let's let's get on to just example. So I just put these down, like no edits. And so it's like, okay, like this is like me on like a keyboard, let's say, right? Or just on a computer keyboard, right? So this is like a lot of us, our situation. You know, we're able to input notes, but like not precisely enough for like kind of what we need. So let's go ahead and just like, this is just a work through of us. Like we're gonna quantize our swing here. Okay, so we've selected all our notes. We can highlight them or we just command all. So, and I'm working in this track right here. So I highlighted my notes, and let's say I'm gonna do, let's do our swing B pattern, right? Which is, what was it? It was like, it was a little bit, it was not quite to the triplet swung, but like a decent approximation. If we do that same, oops, I'm editing that. So let's control all, let's do the same swing. So we just go down to 8th note swing. I chose the wrong pattern, and so we might hear that, right, in what we're playing. So as long as we're choosing the same swing, and it does matter that they're at the same, so within whatever, like I guess, like, I don't know, like 8 letter, you're choosing 8th note swing B, that they're at the same swing value too. I'm not exactly sure what this like value is. But yeah. So if you do that, then like they're gonna align, right? And so that's all you got to do really for your for the swung songs. That's particularly what we're doing at this stage now, right? So yeah, so that's our tools here. It's these 8th note swings for at least like the songs that we have in our repertoire. Okay, so yeah, that's how you would go about quantizing for swing. And yeah, and remember though, like, you know, as a player, as a composer, like that there are kind of different swings, right? It's just, you know, it's how much we've delayed that upbeat, right? So that when we're not swinging together, like it doesn't sound as good, right? So yeah, I hope that kind of might also function as like kind of just a explanation of like kind of swing for taiko, at least for our style. Okay, good luck with your compositions, and I'll talk to you next time.